The version numbers are getting a little weird here, but Xenonauts did update. He's calling it version 18.3. I think this is more of a light patch than anything else. There's a hotfix that accompanies this as well. I guess it's called 18.3 because the previous hotfixes, I guess Desura called them 18.1 and 18.2 because it's kind of weird like that. Although really I think it was 18.0.1 and 18.0.2, but whatever. We're calling this 18.3. There's a hotfix. I'll get to that in just a second. As always, I've got links to the patch notes in the description down below. I will be starting another playthrough here one of these days, probably tomorrow, next time I get a chance to record. Probably start it over. It seems like most people are in favor of me starting over, but skipping ahead to about the stun tech level, so they kind of want to skip the first few missions, which that's fair enough. There's nothing to really see there. But let's move on to these patch notes. First of all, the replace function now works for research projects, automatically scanning all units for the item to be replaced and updating it with a new one. This has been used for the advanced medipack and advanced aircraft missiles and explosives. I think that's just really anything that's an upgrade in every way, shape, and form. The replace function now works for the research projects as well. Disappearing equipment bug associated with wounded soldiers should be fixed. That's good. That's one that's been around for a little while. That's just when somebody comes back from being injured, they would be naked, which was kind of startling at first. Once you got the hang of it, you just had to keep in mind to go back into the equipment screen and re-equip everybody with their default loadout. And speaking of default loadout, looks like if you load an default loadout that contains an armor which cannot be equipped, like not having enough of that armor, it'll no longer crash the game. I never equipped armor, so that was never an issue, but I did have an error message pop up when you tried to equip a default loadout with a basic medkit when you had the advanced medkit. I'm not sure if that error message has a working string or not. We'll have to see. Weapon fire paths for shots now turn orange beyond the operational range of the weapon, where accuracy and damage drops off. That's another visual indicator of, hey, don't take the shot. Although I usually do anyway, just for funsies. Teleporter should be working again. I think that applies to the landing ship. Maybe another alien ship as well. The teleporters never worked, and you needed to use the teleporters to get to the other floors. So those should be working. Shift click will now override TU usage settings for soldier movement. If you just want to move instead of reserving time units, shift clicking will just have you move and it won't throw up a warning. The interceptable C-17 transport plane has been removed from the game. It was a neat idea, but it caused too many problems to be worthwhile. Now item transfer simply occurs with a 24-hour time delay. This will fix several crashes. I think the C-17 transport plane was just the way of moving things from A to B. It was actually a plane that you could see. I'm not sure. I never really transferred things before between bases. I could never afford a new base. I was too busy buying new planes because I kept crashing them. There's a bit of new art for the Foxtrot and Saracen. I don't know. Saracen? And for the vehicles too. The latter will look much better with the new UI. Which, the new UI, don't know when that's coming, don't know what all is being included with it. Still looking forward to it though, I like UIs. Ferrets should no longer occasionally disappear when destroyed. Stunning an alien no longer produces 2 corpses, and aircraft now fly from base to base when told to transfer. They are not interceptable. I almost feel like maybe, I don't know, I'm probably alone on this one, because I like, when you put the game on hard, it's very hard. I feel like maybe on hard mode, they should be interceptable. You know, I almost feel like if you were to transfer equipment from A to B, you should accompany it with an escort, because aliens use escorts, so I think you should too, but maybe something just for hard mode, or maybe a checkbox to be like, hey, bring it on hardcore mode or something where that's applicable. Same thing with shot paths. Maybe it won't show you the shot path if you have it on the hardest difficulty. Maybe I'm alone on that one, though. That seems a bit too hardcore, even for me. And I do like difficulty. Dropships should now appear in the tech tree. Previously, I'd forgotten to include a recoverable item. Aliens now have somewhat shorter sight ranges, still longer than human sight ranges, but less so. This means the hunter also has reduced sight range, but still longer than most aliens. And edit, it actually isn't a game, it'll be in a hotfix. Right, the hotfix I believe is already released. I'll get to that in just a minute. Rate of alien alloy recovery increased a bit. Marauders no longer incorrectly cost $7.5 million each. Jesus Christ. Vertical movement with jetpack now costs 2 APs per square instead of 6 APs. A few sprite updates, including fixing the Giganto Soldier with Buzzard and Precision Laser. And C4 is now incendiary damage. Installing the hotfix is pretty standard. Just download the .rar file and replace files. Standard procedure if you've ever applied a hotfix before. Or really any game mods. I think game mods are the same way. I don't know, I haven't modded this game. But there are mods out there if anybody's interested. I think there's a whole forum dedicated to it, if you're interested. If I remember, I'll put a link to that in the description as well. Kind of a side thing, though. There's now a flat accuracy bonus for short-range shooting. If the target is within 5 tiles, the shooter gets a flat 8% boost to hit per tile, maxing out to 40%. I'd imagine that means that shotgunners will pretty much always hit if they're at the proper range. Not sure. And does that apply for snipers as well? I'd think that maybe a sniper short-range shooting would be somewhat frowned upon and should get a penalty. Not sure. We'll have to play around with it and see. 40% seems like a lot, though, but then again, within 5 tiles, that's like, bam, up close and personal. You'd have a really hard time missing at that. The percent chance of power cores exploding on a crashed UFO is now 20% instead of 50%. I think that's what caused the research issue in my game, is I never got a functional power core. I got really unlucky and they kept blowing up whenever I shot down a UFO. I'm not 100% sure on that, but I think that's what it might be. Significant boost to strength of defensive turrets. Each now does slightly more damage than a torpedo of the equivalent tech level. I think that's for base defenses, shooting down the UFO with the base before it can actually penetrate. New Xenopedia images for the Reaper Autopsy, Praetor Autopsy, and the Alien Sniper Plasma. Alien for Infantry Laser, Plasma, and Mag weapons, now available in unlimited quantities on research. The Electroshock Grenade is also available in unlimited quantities on research. Aircraft, vehicles, armor, and weapons now have a sell value of 50% their build cost, so it looks like the sell value is actually being adjusted a little bit. Manufacturing has been rebalanced to reduce mid to late game build times and somewhat reduce build costs. However, alien alloy and alenium costs have now been added to all appropriate projects. Previously, plasma weapons, etc. didn't have any cost. Research has been rebalanced to have longer research time for most things after laser weapons. Marauder and Saracen aircraft art swap has now occurred. Saracen is still disabled by default. Sight ranges have been updated for both humans and aliens to stop reaction fire being such a massive issue. Good. Human vehicles, 17 tiles, Basic 16, Jackal 14, Wolf 15, Buzzard 16, Praetor 15, Sentinel 17, most aliens 17, civilians 15, and Harridans 18. These changes are subtle, but should even things up a bit. Harridans should still be able to inflict reaction fire hell on you, whereas unarmored troops now have longer sight ranges than civilians to fit with the lore of them being a bit dim. The Soviet town terror map has been updated slightly. The flat/apartment now has a roof and the factory door now opens correctly. The carrier and battleship maps have been updated now so you can't see around the walls. The thin purple lines on the shroud that give away the floor plans in some cases have also largely been corrected, but it's only in the dev build. Too many tiles to include a hotfix. At present, he's working on fixing some of the sprite issues reported in the last build, which will be included in the Desura Auto Updater version. Most have been updated. Keep an eye out. I will be playing Xenonauts again pretty soon. Probably tomorrow night, or tonight, depending on when you get this or where you live. So within, I'd say, probably about 40 hours, we might get another episode up or 2, or 5 or 9. Depends how much I play. Maybe I'll assault YouTube again like I did last time, just get like 50 episodes up at once. Who knows? But I will be restarting the playthrough. Save games, they don't work between bug fixes. Whenever a patch rolls out, save games are broken. It just requires too much effort for them to make sure saves work, and it's just not worth it. But beta's beta, you gotta expect that kind of stuff. Don't get too attached to your soldiers or anything like that. One of the reasons I don't usually play it too seriously. I kind of try to break it a little bit. I do things a little awkward, a little different, to see just what can happen. Always experimenting, always playing around with it. I've played it a bit in my free time, but I'm still bad at air combat. So there's that. There's always that. I actually shot down a medium, though, in my spare time. So I've got that covered. As far as mediums and escorts go, it's still a pain in the ass to do for me, but I'll figure it out one of these days.